Coming to you live from our studios here on the John Hammond Street in Ghana's capital, Accra. Good afternoon. Welcome to Weekend Central. I'm Godwin Asidiba.
My name is Grace Hamwajiman. Coming up this afternoon. Members of the Democracy Hub.
The leaders of Democracy Hub not to gather at the 37 intersection to continue the Stop Galamsey protest. The group started yesterday protest on Saturday, September 21, to drum home the need for government to address various critical issues affecting the country, including illegal mining. The Director of Public Relations has been speaking to the media. Take a listen.
Yesterday, we sent a caution to the organizers that today the police are here again, and our assurance to Ghanaians that we will maintain security, law and order. We caution the organizers to not show up at the 37 intersection to cause inconvenience to road users. We also urge them to consider any of the 7 locations that police had proposed to them, so that we can provide security for them to do their demonstration. Today, you can spot pockets of them around. The police are here, and as our mandate demands, we will maintain law and order, we will protect life and property, and we will ensure that security prevails and the general public are able to go about their business without any impediment whatsoever. So we'll be monitoring and we'll keep Ghanaians and the general public updated on events that will be happening here in the city of Accra.
We understand some of the protesters have been arrested, 15 of them, and there is some visuals that will be playing on your screen shortly, so you get to see exactly what happened around the 37 military hospital intersection. You can clearly see some police officials who have been armed, clearly not really a serene surrounding. You can see a lady in red as well who it looks like has been arrested. We will be speaking to some of the protesters in studio shortly, but the scene at the moment, I can clearly tell, just as you can see, looks quite chaotic, meaning that either the protest might be coming to a halt. That is according to the Ghana Police Service, and this is how they've taken charge in order to probably bring it to an end. But we have been speaking to the police again, so let's take a listen at exactly what they have been saying. Oliver Baka-Vomawo is a member of the Democracy Hub, and he is joining us in studio for a conversation on the back of that. Oliver, thank you so much for joining us in studio. Before we delve into some of your members who have been arrested, the police have described your actions as un-Ghanaian. But before we come to you, let's go back to the grounds and take a listen to exactly what the police has been saying.
Good afternoon. We are happy that you are joining us on the field once again today. Yesterday, after our special operations on the grounds here, we served a caution to the organizers of this demonstration that today the police were going to do whatever it took to maintain the peace ensure security, law and order. We therefore urge them to once again consider the 7 locations that police had proposed to them, and that today we would not allow any impediments within the area of the 37 intersection. We will ensure that there will be free flow of traffic and that the commuting public can commute freely and go about their business without any interference.
My colleague Joseph Armstrong-Gold has been the man on the ground since yesterday, and he is joining us live today for details on the back of that today. Armstrong, if you can hear me, we understand 2 of the protesters have been arrested. Run us to speed at exactly what is happening there.
Godwin, really, so as it stands right now, all the protesters here, you don't see even a single one of them here at the 37 runabouts. All of them have put to heel. They've run away. They are not here. You don't see even a single one of them here currently. As it stands right now, you can see only that of the MTTD officials here who are ensuring free flow of the traffic. And yesterday it wasn't so because traffic wasn't moving away. Traffic wasn't flowing here, and the place was choked where you could see the traffic here has diverted back to Kaukudi. But today, they have some MTT boys deployed here, and they are ensuring the free flow of the traffic. So let's look at the situation here right now. More policemen have been deployed to this place where they say that anybody that tries to block the road, they will pick the person up. And that's what happened some few minutes ago, less than an hour ago, when the police redeployed more men here, and then they picked as many as they can. Well, for us, what we can count is numbering about 15 or so, where an elderly one among them was immediately released with a young lady. She was released immediately because, I don't know for which reason, but the police head of public relations has been speaking to us, and then she has been explaining that they've cautioned the protesters that they can demonstrate, but they cannot take the laws into their hands and block the flow of traffic, because this is a major road that for them, they would have to ensure that nobody blocks the free flow of the traffic here. Godwin.
Do you have an idea where they have been picked up to?
The director who spoke to us could not explain that to us. For her, she just to explain to the public what has happened, but where they've been taken to, the number of people who have been arrested so far, she's unable to explain that to us as it stands right now, Godwin.
Right. Armstrong, thank you so much for your time. You've seen my colleague Armstrong-Gold there, bringing us to speed with what is happening at the premises of the 37 military hospital. A lot of the roads have been barricaded. You could see quite a number of police personnel who are also there to ensure that no one comes closer to that premises. But like I said earlier, Oliver Bakavomawo is a member of the Democracy Hub, and he's joining me in studio for a conversation on the back of this. The police has described your actions as Ghanaian, also raising concerns about the fact that yesterday you blocked some cars from being able to move freely. How do you react to this, first of all?
First of all, I think it's almost laughable, the idea that the police feel that they have what it takes to define what Ghanaianness means. This is what it means to be Ghanaian. A spirit of resilience and respect for the freedoms and constitutional rights of every citizen. This is what Democracy Hub stands for. Actions to preserve our democracy. There's nothing more Ghanaian than that. But let us be clear what has happened. 3 months ago, Democracy Hub notified the police of a demonstration at Revolutionary Square. The police went then in for an ex parte order.
Right.
Subsequent to that, they released a statement that they were going to allow the protesters to protest, and we held a series of meetings with them. They proposed 7 locations, we proposed 6 locations, and they rejected all the locations, and we couldn't reach agreement on any of them. And so we reverted to where we had notified them, which was Revolutionary Square. And that is where we're gaining access to. There's no intention to block any access to any individual. In fact, the location which we chose was chosen specifically because it is completely walled and allow protesters not to interfere with traffic or any essential services. But the police rejected this.
Right.
But I think this is important, and I think we need to highlight this. It is important that when we're engaging and discussing police misconduct, that we go beyond official police speak. because the police have since then refused to engage demonstrators. We have written to them and released a press statement indicating that we wrote to the police hierarchy requesting for an urgent meeting because they haven't been speaking to us, and they released a press statement at 3 a.m. claiming and indicating their intention to engage in a specific unlawful conduct they have done today.
You are calling for illegal mining to come to an end, and you've started this 3-day protest. What will be next after this?
Well, the thinking is that the conversation around how we end irresponsible mining in this country cannot be driven by just press statements and leaving behind the critical mass of Ghanaians. Everybody must feel a stake in this, and we must bring the conversation down and mobilize significant public support in order to get those who are in power to stop what they're doing. The protest is not over. We are showing up today, and we're going to continue into tomorrow. We're asking every young person who is across this country that our future is at stake, and they must all mobilize and join us tomorrow.
15 of your members have been arrested. Are you on the run yourself? Yes,
the police did an attempt to arrest me, and so I was able to make a getaway and come to your studios to have this conversation. But I think this is important. Nobody must submit to unlawful arrest.
Right.
But the critical thing is that we have 53 lawyers on standby who anticipated that the police are going to misconduct themselves and have been trying to locate where they have taken these individuals to. These individuals have a right to counsel. They have a right to be advised on their rights in the circumstances. And we urge the police to disclose where they are hiding them in order for them to get legal representation.
This should be quite a challenging time for you, I must say, because we have quite a number of them at the front side of TV3 through to the Flagstaff House, and you at the moment are someone they are looking for. Do you feel threatened?
I completely do not feel threatened when I am acting in service and protection of our democracy.
Right.
Whether the police misconduct themselves, they act unlawfully, that does not regard me. My job and my duty as a citizen is to ensure that our leaders are accountable to us, whatever stakes that may take.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Oliver Bakavomawo, as a member of Democracy Hub. And my colleague Armstrong Goldalogbe is still stationed there. We have our lenses positioned at vantage point where we will be bringing you updates as far as this protest is concerned. It is continuing till tomorrow, so trust us here at TV3 to bring you the details. Let's do some more stories. Tamale South Member of Parliament Haruna Iddrisu says President Akufo-Addo must be held responsible for endangering the lives of Ghanaians. He spoke in a yet-to-be-aired interview on hot issues with Kemini Amano.
They must be held solely liable and solely responsible for their destroyed livelihood arising out of their failure to fight galamsey. Don't rope Mahama in. Don't rope the NDC in. We have no responsibility. You have given them a mandate. If I read the Constitution well, I hope I get it right, Article 268, thereabout, every mineral resource, including water, is vested in the president. If it's not being managed well, the president must be held solely liable and responsible.
And he put his...
So Nana Akufo-Addo accept blame of failure, of failing to manage galamsey. Who issues the licenses? You, and a minister through you. Take responsibility. Take responsibility.
And we know
I know it's a function of the growing unemployment in the country, but it must be regulated and mining done responsibly. I'm told, and again, a challenge to the media, the amount of gold that leaves Ghana, what we account for at our port, and what is accounted for abroad, exceeds what is accounted for in our borders here.
And Kemini Amano sit with Haruna Iddrisu this afternoon at 2 p.m. for the full interview. You don't want to miss out on it on hot issues. Away from that, members of the Mortuary Workers Association have served notice that starting from Thursday, September 26, 2024, they shall exercise their rights as guaranteed in the 1992 Constitution by withdrawing all services. This action is necessitated by some pressing demands which the workers say the government has ignored. General Secretary of the Mortuary Workers Association, MOAG, is Richard Kofi Jordan. He's joining us on phone for a conversation. Mr. Jordan, what is necessitating this move? Mr. Jordan, can you hear?
As indicated in our letter, there are some pressing issues which the government's opinion has not been very serious with. Issues that have to do with our PPE, our personal protective equipment, which were not forthcoming. Our members have to buy their own equipment to use at the various facilities, which we think is not in the right direction. Number two has to do with our at 2020.
So Jordan, I am losing you. Could you please reposition yourself so we can hear what you're saying?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. You are making a point on the second reason.
Yes, I was saying that we also have some salary arrears which is dating back 2020. Remember last year, close December, we threatened similar strike on these very issues. And then we also have issues with the coronavirus bonus that the president promised in 2020, all dating back. And we think that the employer has not been very, very, very serious with issues with mortuary workers. And for that matter, yes. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, for these reasons, we think that the time has come that for once, with all the threats that we issued, we should implement that right now by closing down all mortuaries. Yes.
So what has been the level of engagement between you and government? When you write these letters to them or when you send your people to have meetings with them, what do they tell you?
You know, it's a normal rhetoric talk. We are going to implement you, give us time. Give us time. The National Labour Commission last year issued a directive. You know, it has already issued so many directives in terms of this implementation. The last one was November last year, giving them deadline up to 29th of December. If they do not do that, then we shall continue with our action. If they refuse to implement it, and when we are getting to October, almost a year, in February, we wrote a letter reminding the employer that the issues that we're talking about are so bad to be handled. No reply came from any quarters. So we think that they want to see us close mortuaries. They want to see Ghanaians go to hell for them to understand that it is not out of, you know, what we are getting to. We can't complain. We can't come for negotiation. Negotiation has been done. Everything has been just about implementing the agreed memo that we have signed already. So we expect them to just pay, do the needful, and then workers will not even attempt to go to the strike at all. That is why we have served notice that the law requires. You know, when you read the section 159, it says that we should give them 7 days clear notice, which we have done. Okay. So we are waiting to Wednesday. If nothing is done or payment is not done or whatever we are demanding for is not met, then you should expect that Thursday all mortuaries will be empty.
When you say how much is, I'm thinking you're talking about nationwide from Thursday.
Nationwide. It's a national assignment. Every mortuary in this country, private, government, anybody who is part of us, we're all going to create solidarity. In solidarity, the undertakers, the health workers, nobody is going to quit. Because the whole country is going to stand still when it comes to movement of dead bodies.
All right. We're hoping that government listens to you so that the country doesn't come to a standstill when it comes to movement of dead bodies. Thank you for speaking to us. Michael Kofi. Richard Kofi Jordan is General Secretary of Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana. And this sits so right with the part 2 of the documentary, Gordon, you're bringing us maybe this week or later.
Yes, that is Troubled Morgues. And I really understand where Richard Jordan is coming from because I had the opportunity to speak to him some 3 weeks ago, and he raised concerns about the fact that when they come on this strike, it is going to take them a very long time to return because for the 18th time, they've gone on numerous strikes and nothing has been done about their conditions of service.
And they'll only go back when they receive the alerts in the accounts.
And it will shock you that most of these mortuary workers are being paid 300 cedis, 400 cedis a month, and most of them have not also been paid for months. These people are also working under inhumane conditions. You go to morgues where you find, sorry about my words this afternoon, maggots, flies, choked gutters. It is actually really disheartening and heartbreaking as well. So I would assure that people should stay tuned for Troubled Morgue.
I always wonder how you're able to go to these places and look at all of these
this particular
and
one
still
got
come
me.
back sane.
This particular one got me because I shed a tear when I stepped out of the mortuary. And I don't really want to talk about it more because it's really disheartening. So if they are calling for a strike, it might be a call in the right direction, trust me.
It is.
Right, let's do more stories. Nearly 282 million people in Africa are undernourished, an increase of 57 million since the start of COVID-19 pandemic, according to UNICEF. At a capacity building workshop in Abidjan for selected journalists and communicators on micronutrient deficiency in Africa, stakeholders called for a multi-sector collaborative approach to address the issue.
In West Africa, 1 out of 2 women of reproductive age is anemic, with significant deficiencies in key micronutrients such as iron, vitamin A, zinc, folate, and iodine. Although Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal have made significant progress in addressing micronutrient deficiencies, stakeholders in the sub-region are concerned about the increasing rates of malnutrition. This has intensified calls for a collective effort from member states to tackle the issue. The Deputy Representative for the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF in Côte d'Ivoire, Mariana Sterbu, believes that malnutrition is a violation of children's rights. She encouraged African leaders to prioritize legislation aimed at improving the nutritional quality of foods for women and vulnerable populations.
There are policies and legislation in place to make sure that children get their adequate nutritional status. The multi-sector nutritional strategies are there to make sure that across the sectors we get the right actions, the right public actions, but also society-wide actions in place to ensure a very good nutritional status for children.
The advisor to the Vice President of Côte d'Ivoire, Dr. Patricia Inguran, expressed concern about the low levels of breastfeeding among mothers. She asserted that combating micronutrient deficiencies in Africa requires acceptable interventions tailored to impact nutrition in each country.
The message about breastfeeding is also very important because, you know, when it comes to breastfeeding, it's important that mothers breastfeed during the time that is allocated, and that the fact that they give cow milk or inappropriate breast milk substitute to children is very important, that we communicate the right message and we engage them to actively breastfeed their children.
Le défi dans lequel nous sommes tous engagés.
The 3-day event was to strengthen the capacities of journalists and communicators selected from 17 African countries with a focus on intersectoral and multi-sectoral dialogue in the fight against micronutrient deficiency in Africa.
To other stories, the minority in Parliament has expressed grave concerns over the dire situation facing Ghanaian students studying abroad on government scholarship, accusing the government of neglect. In a statement issued by ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Apak, he drew attention to the plight of students unable to pay their tuition fee, with some facing expulsion and potential deportation. The statement decried the government's failure to honor its financial commitment, leaving the students stranded. We're working the phone to speak to Dr. Clement Apak, Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee. While we do that, let's take a break. We're back shortly.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know Endpoint Homeopathy Clinic. Endpoint Homeopathy Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about Endpoint Homeopathy Clinic. Who will be careful Endpoint one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problem su wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo medu a me fae no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na me coin mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko endpoint o mama nura ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's Endpoint for you.
Acrobato.
Hello.
Hey, ohwehwe what che.
Okay.
A free bra wo di endpoint wa dance. Ah me call you no.
me Jones sama na enkoye e paso na my nyina na magina sabema na me be fear for there e ho na nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. Endpoint is my secret. Endpoint homeopathy clinic. I'm free.
When the
Welcome back. This is Weekend Central on TV3. So let's bring you that conversation with Dr. Clement Apak on some difficulties some Ghanaian students abroad on Ghana's government scholarship are facing. Doc, thank you for making time to speak to us. How many students are we looking at and who have been affected by the delays in the payment of these stipends?
To you and to viewers as well, and to indicate that my interaction with a good number of the students who have been affected, who have constituted themselves into an association, indicates that for the UK alone, we are looking at 927 students. The classification is 785 of them are pursuing master's degrees, and 142 are pursuing PhDs, who are certainly under stress. Many of them traumatized, a number of them confused, not knowing what to do given their current predicament.
And what is the quantum of indebtedness to these institutions where the Ghanaian students are studying on scholarship?
Well, according to the students themselves, if you were to look at the issue of their tuition alone, if you were to do the figures based on the years of enrollment, the type of academic program, they estimate that they owe collectively 17,613,000 euros. That is what they owe. And the situation is very dire to the extent that some of them have already been withdrawn by their institutions where they are studying because of government's failure to pay their tuition. Others are on probation. Others are being processed for deportation. And this is only the tuition. This does not even include the 27 months of outstanding stipends. Stipends is the money that government remits to the students directly for their upkeep. So the situation is very dire, and we are calling on government to immediately mobilize the resources to pay the tuition fee. And after that has been done, we also ask that government should renegotiate with the institutions so that where students may have been withdrawn as a result of the failure of government to pay their tuition, they are reinstated so they can continue with their studies.
Okay. Doc, and from where you sit as Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee, do we know why government has failed to pay these monies? Well,
your guess is as good as mine, but I take no excuses from the government because these are students that we know of. These are students that government itself has granted a scholarship. And it is my understanding that the fees and stipends are usually included in budgetary requests. And as far as I know, there is no time that the government has come to Parliament with any budgetary request that we have refused to honor. So the government ought to find the resources to ensure that they pay the tuition as well as the stipends so that our young men and women who have gone to seek knowledge to enhance their skills and their talents can come back and contribute, rather than the current situation where we hear that some of the male students have to sell their sperm and some of the female students are now engaged in very, very disrespectful relationships and conduct just to survive. It is an indictment to the Republic of Ghana, and we ought not to be humiliating our young men and women the way we are doing because of government's failure to meet its obligations to them.
So, Doc, do we see the Education Committee likely to invite the Education Minister or those in authority to answer questions on this challenge?
Well, the interesting thing that many don't know is that the Scholarship Secretariat is not housed under the Ministry of Education. It is one of the government agencies under the Office of Government Machinery. In other words, it is under the direct supervision of the President, and I would add his vice. So we don't have that capacity to summon the education minister on this matter. We've tried on a number of occasions. But I can tell you that since this news broke, the leadership of the committee has contacted the Ministry of Finance and has also contacted the director of the Scholarship Secretariat. And the information we are getting is that the money that has been provided so far is woefully inadequate. In Ghanaian terms, for the UK students currently experiencing this crisis alone, it will take almost 1 billion Ghana cedis to address the issue of outstanding fees and stipends. But the government has only made provision for 300 million Ghana cedis. And you can see how colossal the difference alone is. So government must do the needful by mobilizing the resources so that we can address this urgent crisis.
Doc, thank you for speaking to us. Dr. Clement Apak is Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee. This is Weekend Central. Time now to go to the Election Command Center.
We begin from the caucus of the NDC. The flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has pledged to complete the abandoned oil and gas enclave roads project in Nzimaland. This promise is especially significant given the area's crucial role in Ghana's oil industry. That's more.
I remember in government, because of hosting the oil infrastructure here in Nzimaland, Professor Mills promised that we're going to invest some of the oil revenue to improve the social and economic infrastructure in Nzima area. And so we came with the oil and gas enclave roads, and we started to tackle all the roads in the Nzima area. It is just unfortunate that we did not finish before we left office, and a new government took over. And my understanding is that most of those roads have been abandoned, and the whole oil and gas enclave road project has been stopped. Nana Awolaimo, I want to assure you that a new NDC government that will come in January next year will resume the oil and gas enclave road so that you can have roads that are befitting of an area that is hosting a very precious asset on behalf of the people of Ghana. And so you can be sure that the roads that you mentioned are roads that we will consider a priority.
We move to the NPP now. Running mate of the New Patriotic Party is proposing for all political parties to be made to sign a commitment pact against illegal mining locally, referred to as galamsey in Ghana. Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh believes that it is an effective way to hold any party accountable if it comes to matters like these. Speaking at the 57th National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, delegates Congress in Kumasi, the NPP's vice presidential candidate tasked the students' leadership to mount pressure on all political parties to come out with a clear roadmap of bringing an end to the destruction of water bodies in the forests.
One of the most topical conversations as we head into the 2024 elections, whether you like it or not, the preacher man said it or one of the speakers said it. It's galamsey. NUGS, we should hear from NUGS. You must have an enlightened position on it. I realize that lately, union leaders have come on board, CSOs have come on board, NUGS should not stay. But let us publicly, just like we do a peace agreement here during elections, let all the political parties come up and sign that we all don't want galamsey, so that nobody can go and take advantage anywhere else. So that one person will not come and sign, president have signed, then the person who wants to take the president out of the office goes around the country and say, hey, of course, he will win the vote. We all want to win the vote to be able to champion the
Flag bearer of the People's National Convention, PNC, Bernard Mona, says he will challenge his disqualification from the presidential race by the Electoral Commission. He spoke to the media at a Durban held to mark the 25th anniversary of the installment of the paramount chief of Abutia, Togbega Abutia Kojogidi, the 5th in Ho in the Volta region.
This because yes, Monday is a public holiday. And so immediately after the public holiday, we are in court and we'll compare the Electoral Commission to do the right thing. They, as I mentioned in page 137, 138 of their document, they can create errors.
So what will be the way forward for the PNC? They're not able to secure your candidature?
No. There is not an impossibility in this matter. I am telling you that in 2016, the PNC was similarly disqualified. We found our way onto the ballot using the legal processes. So I am telling you that I am next president of Ghana. I will be on the ballot.
Several factors, the choice of the voter matters, especially when it comes to casting your vote, among which includes personal interest, party interest, and national interest. Regardless, political parties are repeatedly keen when it comes to their position on the ballot paper. There appears to be claims that one's position on the ballot box, it might influence an individual to vote for you or not. But how large is the ballot position and how does it go to affect a particular candidate? My colleague Ibrahim Abubakar finds out in this report.
Politicians have always shown some level of anxiety when it comes to time to pick positions for their order on the ballot paper. This was evident when heated argument ensued among the political party representatives during the balloting for the presidential elections at the head office of the Electoral Commission of Ghana on Friday evening, September 20.
Yes, I've not picked more than one.
No, then don't touch.
Hello?
Don't touch.
But it's not for you to give the terms of engagement.
For some electorates and researchers, picking the top or last position on the ballot paper comes with some advantage. The reason given is that voters who do not demonstrate optimizing behavior cast their ballot without wasting time to check candidate after candidate on the ballot.
From our part of the world where we are now growing in our democratic system, balloting position counts a lot. In our local politics, in our local way of communicating, it's so easy for you to communicate the first position and also the last position, rather than being in the middle of the voters, that is the position. I've realized that number 7 and then number 9, you have a little bit of colors that resemble the NDC colors. So it's a challenge, and I think the NDC need to work very hard to ensure that their votes are not lost to some of these close positions with them.
But for voters who are fully informed and face no cognitive constraints, the order of the candidates on the ballot has no impact on their choice.
For us as youthful people, we will look out for where the person we want to vote for is placed. But for frail people and those who are visually impaired, I think they will struggle to locate where their candidate is placed if the person is not on the first ballot or the last one, which makes easy identifying. So I believe if you are placed well, as to your advantage,
the position wouldn't matter, because as a youth, I'll be able to know that whether number 1 up to number 13, I'll be able to identify. But mostly, the aged find it difficult in identifying the position. So some of them, they use the symbol.
For us who are decided, like the youth, like myself, I wouldn't have a difficulty choosing who I want to vote for. But for the aged, they will have some difficulty, if you ask me, because for now we have about 13 people picking the ballot itself to go and decide in the ballot booth will be a major challenge, especially when you are not aligned with the existing, protocols to voting.
13 persons have been cleared to contest the 2024 presidential elections in Ghana. The ruling New Patriotic Party will be number 1 on the ballot, whilst its main contender, the National Democratic Congress, will appear 8th on the ballot. Both political parties are convinced that their campaign message will earn them the vote they require more than their position on the ballot paper. That's come December 7. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Here in the studio, my name is Grace Hamo Ajuman, and a US-based Ghanaian professor, Kwaku Asare, has called for the process of balloting for placement on the ballot paper to be digitalized. He says this will reduce the tension and confusion that usually characterize the filing and balloting process for presidential aspirants.
After hours, the balloting was concluded. The flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Bawumia, will be number 1 on the ballot paper on the December 7, 2024 polls. His main contender from the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, picked the number 8 slot on the ballot paper. One of the 4 independent candidates, Nana Kwame Bediako, picked number 12 on the ballot, with the last spot at number 13 going to Alan Kojo Chematain of the Movement for Change. For United States-based Ghanaian professor Kwaku Asare, it is time the Electoral Commission uses technology to reduce the tension that characterized the process on Friday.
I do believe both the filing and even the balloting for positions could all be digitized. And it will save us all time and it will save us all the drama. On the proviso that it won't be a black box, that the process will be subject to an audit by a credible, independent accounting firm.
The head of the Legal Affairs Directorate of the National Democratic Congress, lawyer Ediji Tamaklo, questioned the level of fairness exhibited by the Electoral Commission during the balloting process.
To have a situation where balls are marked so different from others, why? It undermines fairness, which is contrary to the motto of the Electoral Commission. And so you have a situation where Dr. Mani Buama had to call the attention of the Electoral Commission that, look at this particular ball. It is so marked unique from the others.
On the issue of the protest by the opposition NDC, which demanded a forensic audit of the voters' register by the Electoral Commission, MP for Santiachim North, Andy Apiakubi, urged the party to bring the discrepancies it was identified before the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC.
Demonstrations necessarily will not bring you the dividends that you want. So what I'm saying is that let's try to establish a case before the IPAC that it is important for all of us to have this and bring out your justification and evidence. And I'm sure that everybody will listen to you. Indeed, in my particular case, I've called for my electoral register. I'm going to go through them one by one.
Audit it yourself?
Yes, I'm going to do the audit myself. And if I find any irregularities, I will go to Regulation 17, 18, 19 of CI 91. And that provides me with the relief. I will use that and then call for, if I call their attention and they correct them, I would want to demand a copy of the register.
Head of the Legal Affairs Directorate of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, lawyer Ediji Tamaklo, argued that the illegal transfers undertaken by the EC are part of a plot to influence parliamentary election outcomes.
Because the transfer is a potent tool for gerrymandering. How do you do that? In the year 2012, an MPP MP won with 3 votes. So when you move 38, it's enough to change an outcome. And I'll tell you why, Pusiga. So in the 2020 election, after the outcome, NDC won the Pusiga seat. The MPP candidate took the MPP MP to court. And in fact, I was the lawyer for the NDC MP.
I see.
And they were challenging 68 votes.
So 68 was enough to change the outcome.
In Pusiga.
In Pusiga. So tactically, if you can get electoral commission officials to transfer even 500 votes into Pusiga, you want to believe that that is enough to change the outcome there.
Private legal practitioner Martin Pigbu urged the Electoral Commission to show honesty as Ghana readies for the December polls.
The public show of dissatisfaction, revulsion, etc. is likely to get better results and more expeditious if the election management body is honest. But this EC is not one that is showing itself to be honest. But nonetheless, I support the NDC's action. So this EC, apart from this independence, so you see the word is independence, independence, independence. So let's start it right now with the removal of Yao Kwachi and Dr. Ofurie J being also part of the this EC electoral register.
The NDC, after their Enough is Enough nationwide protest on Tuesday, September 17, gave the Electoral Commission a one-week ultimatum to take action on their petition calling for an audit of the voters' register. The EC, in a statement after the protest, assured the public and the NDC that it is committed to delivering a credible and robust final voters' register.
We remain your election command center. Stay with us for everything election related. We're back with more after this break. Stay with us.
And make our ancestors proud.
The pressure mounts. This week, the queens must justify their place in the competition. Will their charisma, intelligence, and beauty shine through? They'll stop at nothing to prove their worth and convince you and the judges, who will impress and secure their place. Don't miss this exciting episode of Ghana's Most Beautiful. Ghana's Most Beautiful. Ghana's Beauty, Africa's Pride.
GMB is sponsored by Deluxe Acrylic Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, Enapa Foods, Nescafe Blood Tonic, Frutelli Calipo, Reflow Sanitary Pad, Vitamilk, Obuasi Bitters, Global Wings Travel and Tour,
Sankofa Natural Spices, MDS Lancet, Polytank.
Two years ago, I exposed the grievous conditions of this morgue, hoping for a change. Today, the neglect has worsened and the crisis deepens with no one seeming to care.
You are inhaling medicine. Everybody is sick at the mortuary. They are all dying.
That's not how a functional mortuary should be. We don't have a city morgue in Accra.
I am Godwin Asideba. Join me as we uncover the haunting truth behind this decaying morgue. Don't miss the shocking revelations in Troubled Morgue. Troubled Morgue coming soon.
Swazo! Swazantan titigel titizwan anazon ziga.
Food is a universal language. Contestants from Achimota School, they are the defending champion.
We are here to defend our title.
In Franciman,
for season 3, we are taking it, we are winning it. Yeah.
Adventist girls,
we are here to let all other schools to know that we are not here for jokes.
And Accra High,
we are coming here to show them that we are the masters.
Which of these schools would impress the judges the most?
Kitchen Wars is brought to you by Kivo Foods, Everpack, Mazim Foods, Miss Cookie Spices,
Chana Shito.
Welcome back to the program. My name is Godwin Asideba. The Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana is urging the government to expedite the development of the National Strategy Plan, which will serve as the blueprint for both the government and all stakeholders in the value chain. The Executive General Secretary of the association, Yao Efifa, called on the government to urgently restructure the committee overseeing the new restrictions on exportations of grains regulations 2022.
Those days, Planting for Food and Job was supporting the production of soya. We couldn't use our taxes to support production and for exports to take it at the detriment of the local processes. So we said that no, that shouldn't be the cause. We should finish giving soya to the local processes before exports goes on. Now, because they came in with hard cash, you realize that the price of soya shot up from 150 Ghana cedi per 100 kg to about 600 to 700 Ghana cedi per kg. Why? Because they came in with hard cash and they were prepared to buy more because Ghana's soya is virtually organic. The foreigners. But then our local industry, the replication is the poultry industry, totally collapsed now. We have to import all the chicken we eat in Ghana. We have to import them. Why? Because there is no soya meal for them to produce. We export raw soya after the local processors are well fed. After we have provided enough for the local processor to produce, we can export the rest. We are calling on government to give a listening ear to society. And then the loss of Ghana, if it does not benefit or it does not give the needed impact to civil society, the law should be changed.
To other stories, the head of the eye care unit at Ghana Service Unit and an ophthalmologist, Dr. Hanameto Afeke, says more than 95% of individuals requiring corrective eyewear cannot afford it. This, he lamented, has increased the numbers of blindness in the country, affecting the development in children.
It's a major cause of visual impairment, and is the #1 cause, almost 44.4% of those with visual impairment. And it's very important that we address this issue, especially because of the children. Children they don't perform well in class if they cannot see the black or the white board, or cannot read their books. And unfortunately, studies conducted in 2015 indicate that 2015 shows that about almost 95% of those who needed glasses could not afford it. They didn't have access to that, and that's a problem. Just about 5%, and so that is why when we talk about affordable lenses, it's a welcoming news. What we are doing is to do screening for school children. So we'll be doing a lot of awareness creation and then screening across the country. And because through this screening, we're able to identify the children who have refractive error.
Ministry of Trade and Industry maintains government as steadfast in supporting and providing jobs opportunities for the Ghanaian youth. While admitting that more needs to be done to empower the youth, the ministry indicates series of interventions are in place to curb the growing unemployment rate.
The high youth unemployment in Ghana remains a huge burden on government, despite promises to address it. Speaking at the commissioning of a business resource center at Adansia Square in the Ashanti region, Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kosi Yankee, argued that government has invested a lot in youth-led initiatives in a bid to reduce unemployment in the country.
We will continue to support the youth of this great nation. No government has invested so much in the youth than this government. Yes, more needs to be done, and more will be done. But in the interim, we've been able to train them, provide them with support and entrepreneurship support, how to start your business, how to sustain your business, the apprentices. And we believe that this beautiful edifice is not just a building. It is the building where business development will grow, where your businesses will thrive.
Equipped with IT infrastructure and networked through a virtual private network for efficient operations, the Business Resource Center will provide support services to entrepreneurs and enterprises. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Kobinata Hero Hammond, expects residents within the Adansia Square district to maximize the opportunities the facility offers and create sustainable jobs.
This is meant to facilitate the creation of all sorts of jobs. It's a business resource center. So we're asking the community in whatever shape or form that one decides to set up a business to come over and to seek advice, to seek facilitation in all sorts of manifestations. You seek advice, how do we raise some loan, technical advice. I mean, how do we even put together a business plan? Now, you would get it here.
The 7.4 million Ghana Cedis Business Resource Center is the 13th in Ashanti region and 65th across the country to be established by the ministry. The initiative is targeted at reducing youth unemployment in Ghana.
Well, that's a package for you this afternoon on Weekend Central. But before we go, Gordon, we know you're also working on a package on some trapped Ghanaian students in Ukraine. What's the update?
The second part of the 14 Ghanaian men who have been trapped at the war front. We have it coming up. The first one has already gained traction.
A lot of traction.
It's been trending on Twitter for a couple of days now. This new one that is coming speaks directly to those who are at the war front, who are experiencing the shooting and all of that. Just like yesterday, I made mention of the fact that a Ghanaian man who I've been speaking to indicated that he is weak at the moment to a point where allegedly he will have to be injected to gain strength to walk.
To go to war.
And from how he was sounding, it was actually really devastating. We also know that the families of these people have petitioned the Ghana Police Service to also take the matter into their hands and
begin
investigations into it. But we've been trying to reach out to the accused, the name that has been mentioned, to get to know his side of the story.
One-man supporter.
You know, it would just be fair that we get to hear from his side. But his officers closed his home, nowhere to be found. According to a family member, it looks like I'm giving out a lot. So
Let's hopefully this week we're going to see it.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're looking forward to that. Another banger from you.
Maybe.
My name is Grace Hamwajuman.
I am Godwin Asideba. Thank you so much for making us a part of your time. News Central comes your way tomorrow with Kemini Amano and Eric Mawena Egbeta. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. I am Godwin.Asideba.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.